All right, welcome to a 45-minute arm balance and inversion practice. This is all improvised and personalized, so play and practice at your own risk. We're going to do some wrist warm-ups at first, just rolling them out in all the different directions. And then doing a little handstand sun salutation flow. So forward fold, get those hamstrings and back muscles stretched out. Taking a nice deep breath. And then just lift up into your handstand. Slowly coming back down. Wrist rolls, chest opening, halfway lift. Step or float back to a plank and lower down to chaturanga, up dog or cobra to down dog. I'm going to flip the dog over, placing the shin on the ground gives a little extra quad stretch. And then it's taking a nice little back bendy position here. Rolling back up with a nice little twist, coming through to a fallen triangle Visamitrasana variation. Back to a three-legged dog. Hopping right into a one-legged Bakasana, one-legged crow, and floating back through plank, taking a vinyasa flow. Passing through a child's pose to give the wrists and shoulders a little break. And basically doing that on the other side. Flip your dog over, put your shin down, get that extra quad and hip flexor stretch. Lay back. Little hip opener. After a couple breaths, rotate and spiral back around. Lift up to three-legged dog. To that fallen triangle, Visvamitrasana variation. To a three-legged dog. To Ekapada Bakasana, one-legged crow. Playing with just lifting up onto fingertips on that spare hand. Tucking into crow. And we're in Malasana, rolling up the wrists, getting some shoulder stretch by wrapping the arms around the shins. Crow to handstand, get as tall and long as possible. Slowly pressing down, rolling through Malasana or squat to a shoulder stand. Adjust your pants and then lift up into a bridge to release the upper back and shoulders and expand the front of the body. Going into wheel for a nice back bend and shoulder opener. Some neck rolls, some pulses through the legs to open up the chest and shoulders a little bit more. And lowering back down. Nice little happy baby, hip opener. Working on the side splits and rolling back into a plow, all the way up into a happy baby or straddled boat position, balancing on your butt. Thread your arms underneath your knee creases. Lift up to a TT Basana, straddle sit. Just throwing some push-ups there, bending the elbows and straightening the elbows. And just straddle press up into handstand. Launching down to plank or chaturanga. Little pec stretch rolling onto the side. Also a nice spinal twist. Neck and shoulder release. And the arms rest up a little bit while getting that spinal twist and release as well. Don't overdo that stretch. You don't want to hurt your shoulder joint. Pushing up and back to a down dog. And a hop up into an L sit or V sit. Navasana boat pose. Again, rolling back to a plow or shoulder stand. Slowly rolling back up to a bound boat pose, folding in as deeply as I can. push and lift back up. Oh, nope, go into Asana, the 8 crooked limb. You can lower down to a forearm and elbow to add some extra play here. To a running man pose. Chaturanga plank, down dog. Do that all on the other side. Hopping through to Asana. Here you're going to see forearm and elbow. And then pushing back up. Takes a little bit of extra strength. Running man. Sweep that leg back. Take that vinyasa flow. Rolling back into like a hero's pose variation. Stretch the front of the body. Little wrist and shoulder release. Spreading your shoulder blades by pushing your arms against your inner thighs and rolling out your neck. It's a nice way to open up the space between the shoulder blades, upper back and neck. All caught up on breath. Step through to a nice twisted lunge. Grabbing that back foot opens up the chest and quad. Sinking down low into a lizard low lunge, adding some twists. Pulling back into a half splits Ardha Hanumanasana. You can slide forward into full splits. Adding some movement in the upper body here. You can take forward folds, back bends, side bends, twists. Throw a prop underneath your thigh or sit bones if you're like me and the hips don't reach all the way down to the ground. Lift it up. Three-legged dog. Flip it over. A little pigeon to release the hip. I like swaying side to side or adding little twists while in pigeon for the upper body and to just play with the different fibers of the side of the hip. Grabbing that back leg for a little chest stretch and thigh stretch. A little vinyasa flow to reset. Let's do it all on the other side. Lunging twist with the bind. Nice back bend, twist, thigh stretch. Nice to roll out the neck and release the shoulders there too. That low lizard lunge, great for hips. Hang out in half splits as long as you like, and then slide through into your full splits, so you're almost full splits. Taking a few breaths here. Doing a fun arm balance there by lifting up. Can add some mobility for the upper body with forward folds, back bends, twists, side bends. Anything and everything you can pull off there. And release. Arm balance if you can. Release as a three-legged dog. Flip it over if that feels good. Being mindful of how that feels on your shoulder, of course. Come back around to release with pigeon for a few breaths. Don't overdo this stretch. Just get enough for a little release in the hip. Add little side bends or twists, or grab the back foot for fun variations. All right, stepping out to a wide-legged forward fold. For a nice deep forward fold. Going side to side, we'll find Skandasana, side lunges. Great hip openers. Stretches for the legs. Out to a pistol squat. This one can be kind of hard to get in and out of from this angle, so be nice to your legs, be nice to your knees. It's a big step, scooping that leg over. Stepping back out to a horse stance, adding some twists. Get some nice shoulder stretches there too. I usually do more than that, but we're just kind of flowing and moving. Walking your legs in for the TT Basana straddle arm balance. hug your knees inward towards the midline. And then lift and straighten the legs. Add some fun little twists. Some push-ups again. This one you can plantar flex. You can point your toes to help give you some extra length in the calves. And just stalder press that. From the handstand, slowly press it back down. Oh, all the way back. Sitting down, twist it back out. Right, getting a little release, hanging back in hero's pose. You can stretch the tops of your ankles, your quads, abs, chest, throat. Hanging here and resting for a few breaths. Tucking the toes under after that to get a little release. A little counter stretch. Shaking out the hips. Looks like we're moving into some headstand work next. Start with my forearms on the ground. Doing a pike press straight up. Come up however you like though, whatever's a safe, effective way. Set my elbows underneath my shoulders better. And we'll do some leg movements. Internal to external rotation movement. Should probably straddle a little bit wider, a little bit lower next time. Front splits, one leg forward, one leg back. Adding a little twist, staggering the knees. Could be a nice hip flexor stretch for that back leg. And working on range of motion in the twist. Shoulders, neck stays fixed. It's just the torso that is twisting. Be mindful of how the weight is shifting around in your head and shoulders as you move the legs around, especially in that twist. Focus on trying to keep it centered and balanced and not leaning to one side more than the other. I love doing diamond Baddha Konasanas. Switching to a tripod, hand stance. Tuck into a figure four. Push up to a flying pigeon pose, Galavasana. Throwing in a couple of push-ups. Swing leg forward and back. Bring it back up. Hook the legs. Set it in up high towards the armpits. Slowly, carefully push off the head. Sweep the leg out to the side and forward a little bit. Sweep it back. Push up or two. Back to the headstand. Kind of resting in a tucked position. The knees braced on the back of the arms. So rest position. And we're back in our wide-legged fold. Rolling out the wrists. Sweeping out to the side. Back into the full splits. Ankle movements. Some leg wiggles. Take my time to inch the hips down a little bit closer. Here I'm adding the side stretch. Stretching to the left with my right leg back helps stretch that right hip flexor. Three-legged dog, release. That flip dog with the shin on the ground. Again, it's a nice quad stretch, hip flexor stretch. Just a nice variation of that flip dog pose. We can do it all on the other side. Let's see, flip dog, the shin on the ground. Back to splits. I'm playing with different ankle movements, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. Always careful not to jam or go too far down. I don't want to hyperextend my knee. I don't want to overstretch my calf or hamstrings. That side bend, again, really nice way to stretch the hip flexor of the back leg. Three-legged dog releases that leg that was forward. Again, a little flip dog variation. And we're back to our wide-legged stance, going to a Skandasana side lunge on one side. Spinning around, we're going into a one-legged crow Ekapada Bakasana. We can push that up to a handstand. You could try dropping down into a headstand from your Ekapada Bakasana, moving from there if handstand's not available to you, and then bringing it back, knee to elbow, back to Skandasana. I'm rolling up my wrists as I transfer to the other side. Setting up, knee to elbow, lift up that back leg. Again, you could drop your head down here and make it a tripod headstand that eventually lifts the legs up. Great practice being your headstand or handstand and being able to slowly draw it back down. Brace your knee on the elbow. Ground it down. Back in a wide-legged fold. Bringing it in and smushing, massaging the muscles of the wrist that run up through the forearm. You can do this one at a time. You can do both at the same time. You can offer some wrist stretches and movements while you're compressing on the muscles running through the forearm. Similar fashion, you could just massage your wrists and hands between your calves and thighs in a seated position, and you can rock and pull from side to side, creating a little bit of contraction or traction, creating some space between the joints of the fingers and wrist. Ooh, nice little hop up to Malasana, squatting position. Turning out to the side for side crow. Parshva Some fun variations. You can work to being on fingertips, form elbow, all the fun little leg variations, scissoring the legs open. You can find another running man variation, or Dvipada Parshva with the legs extended out. Various running mans there, a fallen angel, QDR kind of arm balance. Back at center, catch my breath, resetting. Use an exhale to twist across and really set those arms basically as far as I can. Brace against the inner thigh, or the outer thigh, knee. Try and keep your head and chest far away from the ground to develop more strength here. Work on fingers, or work your way down to forearm and elbow. Optional leg variations. Go slow, go steady. There's that two-legged side crow. Pushing it back up. You could also play with your head being on the ground for extra point of contact. There's that fallen angel style arm balance. Back at center. Slide your hands underneath your feet to create some massage for your hands. I love having hands behind the head and just rolling the head and neck side to side, helping release the rhomboids and traps a tiny bit. Pulling your shoulder blades away from one another and rounding upper back, rolling out your neck. Rolling out the shoulders and chest. Just kind of releasing some of that tension and fatigue from that last bit of arm balances. Right. Back at a mountain pose. Easy breath in to reach up. Sinking down through Malasana. Crow up to a tuck press handstand. You could also go to a tripod headstand there instead, obviously. Again, slow and control exit as much as you can. Holding that tuck. Coming back to a crow. Some side to side movement. Floating the legs back. Chaturanga. To a cobra. Some side to side movement to really tap into the left and right sides independently on the back. Thread the needle for a spinal twist, shoulder release, and I'm pinning my right wrist there and pulling against the left hand to create some traction. Doing it on the other side. Play with the angles and positions of that to find just the right spot for you. All right, just hopping through onto the back. Looks like we're going to do some core with some hollow body rocks. My arms are glued next to my ears. The angles of my leg and hip aren't moving much. The smaller the rocks, the more abs in general that you're using. Go up to a tuck press, pike press, or a pike, tuck, pike, tuck, pike. So V-ups or tuck-ups. Always come to that hollow body, low boat position. Strong exhales help pull you up. You could also vary this up with some straddle, some straddle ups. Holding that V up, Navasana. Just rolling right through, right up into a handstand. Push, push, push. Front splits with some double stags. Tucking down, crow. Some push-ups, or bending your arms as much as you can. Roll it back, stretch it out and plow or shoulder stand. Then bridge to open up the front of the body. Your wheel pose. Get your back strong and flexible. Get your shoulders open and strong in that overhead position. And rest. Again, a nice little happy baby. Open up the hips. Side splits. Plow, rolling it up. Crow or tuck to planche and pulling it back in. Some wrist rolls. Open it up, easy to breathe up at top. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, center. Expand the chest, breath in. Exhale, center. Just breathe in here, recouping. Arms up helps with the breath in. A little low chair pose all the way down into Malasana squat. Pressing up into a handstand. Again, could be a tripod headstand if that's your thing. Working on tucking my head through this time around. Yes, look at that straightish line. Hold. I should be pulling in my belly more and tucking my tailbone a little bit more here to find a straighter line and pull the center of gravity towards the center of my body versus having it out. Doing a bit of a longer hold here. Save some energy to come down slow though. Come down to that tucked Bakasana. And again, some form release for the wrists. Massage, squeeze. Play with going up and down the forearm. If you get close to the elbow, there's some nice choice spots. Basically, though, when you clamp down, your fingers will curl or extend depending on what muscles you are clamping down on, and that's a good sign that you're hitting the right muscles. Supinating the wrists, or supinating the forearms. Having the hands face backward is a nice follow-up for handstands and the hand balances as well. Looks like this will be probably leading up to a peacock Mayurasana pose. Psych. We'll shake it out, roll it out. Psych, psych, we are doing peacock pose. Lay on the back of your triceps. If this is hard, have your head on the floor, straddle your legs out wide, or do a diamond shape, but basically lift your legs up as high as they can go. That's why they call it peacock, because it looks like the feathers on the back. But you could also play it just holding it in a horizontal position. It's okay if the hands are turned out sideways a tiny bit. I like having the hands point straight back in a full supinated position. And some shoulder, wrist release there for a bit. Crisscross on left arm on top, right arm on top. Some neck rolls, shoulder releases. Just catching up on breath for a sec here. Back through a down dog. Walk the hands in a little bit closer. We're going to do some down dog push-ups maybe. Notice the straight line I have from wrist to shoulders to hips for a nice neutral back. Nope, we are hopping up. A little toe tap to wrists and lifting right up into a handstand. Slowly lowering down to a tripod headstand. Could just come straight into tripod headstand from your down dog too. Some arm variations. You can do palms facing up. Some pike presses with the feet landing on the hands. Lifting it back up. Back to a tripod headstand setup. Some eagle legs, crisscrossing legs, sets up really nicely for that running man side crow style arm balances. Really fun challenge to push up off your head into those arm balances. With a one-handed fallen angel style hand balance. Bringing it back. Resting, resetting. Hopefully we do that all on the other side. Let's do a little 180 hop. You could go straight into your tripod headstand, but a lot more fun if you press up to handstand. And slowly, carefully, touch your head on the ground and shift the weight. Take a moment to recenter, regroup. Crisscross legs, bring it across the body. So I've got my left leg on my right arm. Scissor the legs open. You can do this all with your head on the floor too, more or less. Switching onto your forearm and elbow. Push it back up. Fallen angel. Can I do it on my left hand? Are we going to go hands free off that right hand? Nope, not on this side. Not today, Satan. Release your shoulders, release the wrists, decompress your neck. And breathe, of course. Flipping back around. Sliding the arm underneath the knee crease from a lunged-like stance. Going with that Visva Mitrasana pose. It's kind of like a side plank, but grabbing that under leg while almost in a full front split, which I obviously don't have. Sets up nice for a running man. Get almost in the full split. Do a little push up there. See how much you can bend the elbows, straighten the elbows. Open up and breathe. And we'll do it on the other side. Setting that arm bind underneath the thigh, knee crease, around the low back. Plant the hand down. I've got my back heel on the floor. Grabbing my big toe. Right hand to left big toe. That's a hard one. Nice setup though for the running man pose. Looks like you're doing the splits, but in an arm balance. Add some push-ups if you can. Sweep it back. Chaturanga, lower down. We're back at down dog. Walking it in. I'm rolling out my wrists, sweeping the arms back. Again, some nice massage release for the forearms and wrists. A little 180, because why not? Shoulders swings side to side in opposite directions. And then opposite directions. Regrouping, recentering, catch up on breath. Karate Kid Asana to a dancing Shiva balance. Stand tall, chest wide, twisting to the right. Lowering down to that pistol squat again. Pushing it back up to a dancer. got my shoulder in abduction. I've got my palm facing out, so I'm stretching the pecs there. To warrior 3 or airplane, coming down low, come into a bit of a lunge with a slight back bend. 3-legged dog, release that front leg. Wild thing flip dog, again with the shin on the ground. Adding a little deer style twist with the legs in that kind of pretzel looking position. Fallen triangle, this time I'm letting the legs stay on the floor. A little more chill. 3-legged dog. Stepping it through, a nice open arm twist. Spiraling open, we're going to repeat that all on the other side. Nice little open arm twist. To a 3-legged dog. Flip it over. Little hip opener, twist. Brief moment of rest. Bring it back up. Fallen triangle with the opposite side. Really expansive and lengthening there. 3-legged dog. Stepping it through. Hit that lunge. A little bit of a back bend. Going back into the balancing warrior 3. Hooking into a dancer. Just kind of tucks through. Going into the Shiva, dancing Shiva balance. Do I get the pistol squat? There's the pistol squat on my bad side. Back up. Little Karate Kid style. Nope, going right through back. So we'll repeat this flow. Dancer. Nice chest stretch there. Warrior 3. Slow. Stepping it back. Nice and slow. Easy breath in the lunge. Hands down. A 3-legged dog. We'll flip it. This time shin off the ground. More traditional kind of wild thing pose. To that fallen triangle where you don't let your leg touch the ground. Kind of like Visvamitrasana. 3-legged. Stepping it forward to the twist. Strong exhale helps pull me up. I can inhale at center in that starfish position and exhale down into that twist. Opening up the chest. 3-legged dog. Flip it over. Big breath in. And then I'm bringing it back around. That fallen triangle without the leg touching the floor is a really good way to strengthen your adductors, the inner thigh muscles. 3-legged dog helps us get to the lunge. Oh, sneaking in an extra little twist there. Back at our lunge. Take a big breath in before you balance in your warrior 3 or airplane. Back to a dancer. Coming into the big toe in the hand position. Recentering. A little forward fold release. It's like a little rinse out, reset. Halfway lift. Planting the hands down. We're going up to a handstand. Yes, we are. A little toe tap on the wrists and lifting up. Look at that banana back. Work on getting rid of that banana back, folks. Slowly plunging down, down, down. And are we going to take some rest? Yes, that was a lot of work. Wrist rolls, shoulder rolls, breaths. Got about 10 minutes to go, folks. What are we going to do next? Just rest for now. That's what. Pushing the arms against the inner thighs again helps spread your shoulder blades apart. Roll out the neck to get the upper back. Thread the needle. Again, if you pin that wrist down, you have something to pull against. Change the angle of your neck is going to change how your shoulders, upper back feels. Going across the other side. Pin the wrist, pull against it, create traction in your joints after all that compression of the handstands and hand balances. Looks like we're cooling down now. So I got this little side stretch. I've got my right arm coming across the midline over towards the left corner of my mat. Opening up the shoulder. Do it on the other side for a few breaths. A little bit easier to see here. Hips are pulling back. Head and chest are sinking down. Breathe extra big into that left lung. Some more wrist therapy. Smush the hands. Pull. Sway side to side, and you might feel a little something inside your neck. Traps on the tops of the shoulders. Those handstand muscles. Since we're cooling down, we're holding these stretches a bit longer. Make sure you make time for these cool down stretches. We're really straining and stressing the body quite a bit with these kinds of exercises. Even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, it goes a long way. Give your body a chance to release that tension, stretch out the muscles. Pada Hastasana, foot to hand pose. You can slide your hands underneath your feet. You can do this palms facing up. Shake your neck and head like a dog. You could also do this palms down in supination, like how you do your peacock pose. I really like that. The supination's a nice angle after all the pronation that we get in most arm balances. Dangling in a forward fold might feel really nice for in the neck and back too, with all the strain from headstands. It's the longest handstand ever. Just rolling out, shaking, dangling my wrists. Having the hands rest on your low back and rolling out your neck. This is a great follow-up to headstands. Pulling the shoulder blades down the back. Nice neck, shoulder release. Don't fling your neck around too much, at least not at first. More wrist therapy by compressing on the forearms. Standing tall helps you breathe in easy. You can open up the chest. Extend the shoulders back. Wiggle the shoulder blades together. Take a gentle back bend. I like to wiggle my jaw in that position. Open up the front of the throat, sternum, collarbone area. Yeah, there we go. There's those jaw wiggles. You can hinge your knees quite a bit on the way down as you forward fold. Then you can work on straight legs if you need to. Again, some neck traction, some shakes and wiggles. I'm not cranking my arms back. They could probably go a little bit further. I'm not trying to overstretch. Halfway lift with some shoulder movements, folding back in. Wrapping my arms around the other way. This gives me something to push against to spread my shoulder blades like we did earlier. More neck and shoulder release and dangling. Squatting down, making our way onto the back. Bridge pose is a nice massage for the upper back and shoulders. I'm using the floor to push the shoulder blades down the back. Scapular depression. Much better than seasonal depression. Gentle little neck rolls feel fine to me. Make sure that's okay in your body. Nice little easier rock and way back up. From a seated position, put one arm in your low back and turn your head to the side. Arm over the head. Hand to knee, or it could wrap around your low back, and that just kind of lengthens those upper trapezius muscles. You could take your hand and massage or pull, push into those muscles along the side of your neck and the top of your shoulder. And a lot of those handstand muscles of the shoulders, they travel all the way up the neck. some even connect to your head. So some nice neck stretches, massages go a long way from the strains of handstands and headstands, obviously. Changing your angle of your neck, wiggling your jaw is going to change how this feels in your neck and shoulders. Okay, feel the difference on one side and the other. Going to the other side, get a nice little side stretch. Take that top arm to your low back or knee. You can push or pull. Get just the right stretch and release you need for that upper trap. Scalenes. Levator scapula. Wiggle your jaw, you get into your SCM. You need to pull on your head, neck, or you can dig your thumbs or fingers into there to get a little extra. With all these cool down stretches, if something's really landing well, spend a good 45, 60 seconds to get the full release. Probably don't need to go longer than about a minute. If you feel like you want to do longer than a minute, just do several repetitions. Do like 3 sets of a minute each rather than holding it for 3 minutes consecutively. Again, arms against the inner thighs, roll out your neck, spread your shoulder blades. You can release rhomboids, mid and lower traps quite nicely. Wipe the sweat off your face, roll out your shoulders. Shoulder extension, hands back. I'll usually hold that for a bit longer. Some spinal twists. Release your back. Let your chest stay rolled open. Find just the right angle for your legs. They don't have to be exactly the way I have them. Find a position that works well for you, that doesn't cause pain. Roll across. I'll often take that spare hand and massage sacrum area. You can see me kind of rolling that leg around, just kind of tinkering with the exact angle of the hips. It's going to affect the whole low back, sacral, hip area. Take your time with this one. Just taking a few extra breaths really lets the body fully release. I'm not staying very long in these twists today. I've got my hands on my neck, just doing some more neck massage. The neck resting at this angle. Just let the thumbs, fingers slide up the neck towards the occiput, the base of the skull. And then give yourself a chance for rest. Doesn't necessarily have to be Shavasana. Lay in bed, lay on the couch, prop your legs up the wall might be really nice. But take the time to rest.